We have Ifebus Ochidima, Miracle Ezeji. Were you accredited, sir? Did you write your name there? Why? Please come and put down your details here. Because all the heads of ward or the delegate or representative, Joan ne represent ward day, you can ask them, please. Where are members or representatives or speakers from Fege Ward 3? If they're not here, of course, they know the consequence of not being present within time. This weekend event is being beamed live. I said it before. Subscribe to Bua TV and watch what Ssolin are doing, and also watch what other events with good content that Bua is showing to the whole world. Bua Bunkani. So we should be proud of Bua TV. Enjoy all the goodies Bua has in stock. They have daily programs. I can assure you of that. I enjoy it. Every morning I must watch Bua before any other thing. You know, like the doctors do go world round. I can tell you that I also do go world round. But I use my phone. How the drug? You'll be fine. So I do that daily. So you can join me also. While doing that, you also look at Bua TV. Are we good to go? Are we good to go? Okay. As for voter apathy and political indifference, form of economic sabotage in Nigeria, please. Thank you.
I am here to speak on, but before I continue, I would like to introduce my fellow speakers.
Miracle Ezeji Akachku.
Ezibe Manuel.
Okay, as I have said earlier, we are here to talk on voter apathy, and we will start by defining the term political indifference. Political indifference is loss of interest or withdrawal of political from political or political activities by citizens of a country. Yes, political indifference and voter apathy can lead to economic sabotage in Nigeria with the following reasons. Number one, it can lead to corruption. In a nation where political indifference takes place, corruption is the order of the day, in the sense that those people that are meant to be there, those leaders that are meant to be there at that particular point of time, when they are not elected by the voters, by the eligible voters, corruption will come in, making them not to lead well. Another point is, it can breed disorderliness. It can breed disorderliness and lawlessness in that society. When political indifference sets in, lawlessness and disorderliness can be the order of the day, in the sense that everyone behaves the way they want, move about the way, do things the way they want without no law guiding them, because the right person that is meant to be there is not there. The next point is it can also lead to lack of accountability, in the sense that when the right people that are meant to be there are not there, the people that are meant to monitor them, on that particular seat, the people that are meant to be accountable to, when they are not there, then that accountability is not there. Another point is, it can lead to lack of trust, self-confidence, and respect for the government. When there is political indifference, when the politics in the government, and also when the voters are not, when they are not in accordance with one another, or when they are against the politics, it can lead to lack of respect, solve, it can lead to lack of respect, confidence, and trust in the government. I think with this few points of mine, I've been able to convince you that voter apathy and political indifference is a form of economic sabotage in Nigeria. Thanks much.
Good day, respected judges, my worthy fellow members, and the audience. My name is Easy Miracle Akachiko, and I will start by expressing thanks for your interest in the speaking. As previously stated before, I'm standing for the motion, and I will start by saying that voter apathy is really costing Nigeria a lot. During 2015 election, INEC budgeted over 120 billion naira for 70 million registered voters, but only 4 million people voted. Now, if the capital cost for each registered voters is 1,714 naira, that means over 78.1 billion naira of Nigerians' common wealth was wasted. Now, coming down to 2019 election, INEC budgeted over 189 billion naira for 84 million registered voters, but only 28 million people voted. If the cost capital for each registered voters is 2,704 naira, that means over 124.4 billion naira was wasted. While people might consider this to be an unavoidable opportunity cost by preserving their rights during democracy, it is hard to argue that this is not a tragic waste, whereby 65% of Nigerian registered voters. The economic implication go even further. Election builds better institutions and improved governance, and also that brings about the economic growth of Nigerian. The decolonization of Nigerian instituted to the local ruling class, which is also to the British, also in charge, and which is also involved in the foreign interest, and also to the local ruling class. In the Nigerian state, therefore, became a platform whereby strategically positions in the public state, in the public offices, are now used to accumulate wealth, all in the name of political classes. The elect manipulate economic states and also the development programs, all in the name of accumulating wealth, basically by strategically locating themselves in centers of operations, distributors of oil rents, and spinning petrol client networks around themselves. There's an adage that says, follow who know road, but whereby our politician cannot even show us the way. I beg now, who we go follow? And I would say that every election is dependent by the people who turn out the votes. Well, I can see this is what covers it all. Thank you.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, panel of judges. My name is Ibe Emmanuel. Like my colleague said something earlier, they have tried their best, and they did nothing but the best. Now looking at these people, it seems they have nothing to offer, or they're afraid, or they have no knowledge. What it seems like. That's the main reason they didn't come, or they're afraid of it. Okay. The first part of it. First of all, I would say they don't have knowledge. They are not educated or have no knowledge about it. One, these politicians we are seeing that are human beings like us, they have limits. They have limits. They have what they can do and what they cannot do. See, they don't have any knowledge about it. You will know and able to detect when someone is telling you lie and when someone is trying to flatter you or fallacy or tell you something like that. You have to bear that in mind. One. First of all, second, okay, to add to it, if you take your neighbor's problem as your own problem, case is settled. I don't believe that if you have no knowledge about engineering or electrical engineering, you go and start wiring house, do something like that and do the other thing. it will take you to another thing else. Assuming we take this problem country as our own personal issue, case is settled. Let's use Nigeria as a case of study. So I hope nothing will disturb me after this speech. Okay, let's use Nigeria as a case of study. Assuming all of us came out to vote, despite the manipulation, most other things that will happen after the election and the one within the election, assuming we put someone that is better for us, these economic issues we are having will not be, it will be okay. I can remember the price of things back then and now, compare it. You know the differences because of the economic sabotage. So once we bear that in mind, that these politicians are people like us, they have families, they have so many other things to do, you know what, you'll be able to detect when they're telling you lies and when they're not telling you lies. The other part of it is that those during the elections, most of us don't normally come out to vote, to exercise our franchise, to participate. Because if you look at this, if they truly understand the meaning of this political empath, it means someone deviating from participating in any political stuff or something like that. So assuming
20 seconds more.
Assuming we came out to participate, we should have put somebody better there to represent us. I think with this little point of mine, I'm able to confuse these guys that they are not worthy and they are not educated on any other thing. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you. You may take a bow and, okay, the first speaker, please, you have to summarize. Even though ordinarily the summary ought to come because you have points raised by your opponent that you want to address. But you are free if you choose to, please.
Conclusively, I would like to add that voter apathy and political indifference is also a threat in democracy. We know that democracy is a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. But in the sense whereby those people that are meant to come out to represent us and put us in the right place that we are meant to be today, when they are not there, then it is a big threat to that democracy term that we adhere. Thanks very much.
Can we give Bridget Ward 1 a better round of applause? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Like I said before now, we still expect Mr. E.O. Olayinka, the electoral officer of Onitsha South. We hope he joins us very soon because we are in his jurisdiction and the topic of 3 and Fege Ward 4 to the podium. Bridget Ward 2 and 3 versus Fege Ward 4 to the podium, please. Are we still waiting for any other person from Fege 4? Or are you just 2? Can I have this? Fege Ward 4, Okonkwo Ogochukwu Vivian, Okafor Chima John, okay, he has an emergency. Okafor Cynthia, okay, that is for opposing side. Bridget 2 and 3, we have Ama Vincent, AGK Pascal, or Delichuku Francis. Okay, please, Bridget 2 and 3, you take your time, please. You can start.
Good afternoon, the moderator, the panel of impartial judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, and attentive audience. I am Odolichukwu Jumbo from Bridgehead Ward 2 and 3, and I'm here to speak for the assertion, voters' apathy and political indifference, a form of economic sabotage. Before I dive into explaining how voters' apathy and political indifference are forms of economic sabotage, I would briefly explain the keywords. Voters' apathy refers to the nonchalancy and unwillingness of voters to participate in the electoral process. That is, where legible voters are not able to participate in the voting process. Political apathy or political indifference refers to the act of being less concerned and unbothered about the political affairs of a state. And this is seen clearly in Nigeria today, and it's often as a result of the lack of understanding of the political system or the aim of the government or the manifesto the government is trying to fulfill. Now, economic sabotage refers to the activities that work towards squeezing and milking dry the economy of a nation. So, how does voters' apathy and political indifference milk and squeeze the economy of Nigeria? First, embezzlement of funds. What is embezzlement of funds? Embezzlement of funds refers to misappropriation of funds. Investopedia says it is the using of a fund meant for one thing for something else. How does this reflect? First, when there is an increase of voters' apathy and political indifference, it leads to citizens neglecting their civic responsibilities, which includes paying tax. Now, when some people happen to pay tax, because more people are nonchalant, the revenue generated from taxation could be used for something else. And because no one is saying nothing about it, nothing will be done, and the funds will keep going into somewhere else. That's why we have lots of bad roads, because funds have been allocated, and nobody is saying anything because nobody is doing nothing. And this inaction leads to multiple embezzlement of funds. We see schools, government schools, we see the plan to feed the pupils are not working. The money has been released, but those things are not happening, and people are keeping quiet. Secondly, marginalization. What is marginalization? Merriam-Webster says marginalization is treating others as though they do not matter or they are inconsequential. Now, how does this affect the economy? And how has voters' appetite contributed to this? It's simple. After the electoral process, the results are called, right? Now, when these results are called, the winner, or the one who emerges the representative, is eager to know which community gave him the highest vote. Now, when a community is found wanting, they tend to be marginalized. That's why we have what is happening in the Southeast today. The Southeast is dead politically. I mean, we have River Niger, enough to give us seaports, but we have no seaports in the Southeast because we are not politically active. Secondly, when we go to the rural areas are not allergic to having social infrastructures. But the reason they do not have these infrastructures is simply because they are active. They have voters' card, perhaps because the bank asks them to bring it, but they do not even participate in the voting processes. So it's as if there are no people living in that environment. Slow growth, or this is often caused by high unemployment. Where you do not participate properly in the political affairs of your society, it is assumed that you already have no representative. And so when you come to a place to seek for,
is the lack of interest or a no-care attitude on the welfare of things happening around you. Voter apathy is the lack of interest amongst voters political indifference is a situation whereby about the political aspects and economy of the country. Now, excuse me. Now, economic sabotage is a state Z, B, and K, whose government is calling them to make sure of their own security. But we know that in the Nigerian Constitution, Section 14, Paragraph 1, the primary role of any government in this country is security. And if this security is not maintained, if it is not properly carried out, then I believe that every citizen is within their right to decide that this country, since it is not doing anything for them, why should I take my time? Why should I bring out my time? Why should I bring out my energy to make sure it's moving forward? Thank you.
The moderator, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, and the audience. Standing before you is Amma Vincent from Bridgehead 2 and 3, and I'm here to propose the motion which states, voters' apathy and political indifference. Apathy, according to Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, is defined as a lack of interest or enthusiasm to vote. Sabotage is to deliberately destroy something in order to prevent it from being effective. Political policy can tell the audience that political apathy or voters' apathy is not a form of economic sabotage in Nigeria. Finally, electoral violence. There is this perception that election in Nigeria is a thing of do or die affairs. And this has made eligible voters in Nigeria to be skeptical about participating in any form of electioneering process in Nigeria. In 2015, Mr. Moderator, over 1,000 lives were recorded as a result of this electoral violence. Why, Mr. Moderator? If citizens refuses to vote because of the so-called electoral violence, you can bear me witness that economic and political development of that country will be shattered, thereby making corrupt-minded politicians also to take over the government. Finally, if the declining trend in low voters turnout is not immediately mitigated against by relevant stakeholder, there will be a huge threat concerning the aspiration of the functional democracy in Nigeria. With these 4 points of mine, I strongly believe that I've convinced my learned audience and the judges that voters' apathy and political indifference is a form of economic sabotage in Nigeria. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Okay, I'm speaking against the motion which says that voters' apathy and political indifference is not a form of economic sabotage in Nigeria. Voters' apathy can be said to be a process in which an individual or a voter refuses to vote or is not willing to vote because voters' apathy can be said to be a turn down against political activities. In the aspect of voters' apathy, an economic sabotage. I refuse to agree that for a voter not to vote does not mean that the economy will not be votes, but after all the votes, I will still not get a good result from this. They make people not to have interest in political activities. Like our government, they don't do what they promise us they will do, making the people to have no interest in voting. Sabotage of a group of people.
Just take your time, and your time is still running. Take your time, please.
When a group of people or individual comes together and said that they won't vote, it's a self-sabotage. I don't see how it affects the economy because they have the mindset that this is not helping. This is not adding to anything happening in the country. So people that want to vote, they should vote. In a case where you finish voting, where you vote and come out, is not the person you know. You and I know that is the main person, is the real person, that this person can do something for this country. We emerge as the winner, thereby making people lose interest in voting, and they don't come out again to speak their mind, and they lack the problem is mostly on our government. Like, they don't do what they promise us they will do after every stress we go through during the voting. So people don't see any reason to come out and vote, or maybe they will also tell people, like their friends around, that it's not necessary to vote since the person we are voting for, since the right person.
1 more minute.
Is not, since the right person will not emerge after all this stress, so they make them lose interest in voting process or political activities. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moderator, panel of impartial judges, accurate timekeeper, the audience. Here before you is Ejike Pascal Chinonso from Bridgehead Ward 2/3. I'm here to propose the motion that voter apathy and political indifference is a form of economic sabotage. My colleagues here have defined voter apathy and political indifference. They have also defined economic sabotage. I'm no doubt that you all here have known the meaning of voter apathy and political indifference with economic sabotage. I'm here to expatiate that voter apathy and political indifference is a form of economic sabotage in Nigeria. Do you know that Plato, one of the greatest philosophers of life, said that the penalty for not participating in politics is that you end up being governed by the inferiors? You check the inflation. As you all know, that inflation is the increase in price of goods and commodities. Do you mind me asking, would you prefer Naira notes to dollar notes, Mr. George? Nobody will prefer Naira notes to dollar notes because dollar notes, they have more value than what? Naira notes. It's because that government economic policies made by the government is bad. And it is the lethargic attitude of voters caused it. Because if voters came out to vote, there will be good governance. There will be people like Prof. Chukwuma Soludo to make good economic policy that will help the nation. Do you know that Prof. Chukwuma Soludo said that in the next 2030 to come, that Nigeria's capital will come out not in oil, but in human investment, because he believes that Nigerian people are very creative. That is the kind of people we need in government. That's the people that will come out to make good economic policy that go out, because there is no good government. But we, the voters, are the cause. Secondly, we all know what's happening in our nation. We all know what's happening in the world. Like the Afghanistan crisis, the Syria crisis. My George, do you mind me asking, if you have 500 billion in your account, peradventure, what is happening in Afghanistan and Syria happens in Nigeria, how would you feel? Will you feel well? Nobody will feel well. You see that not coming out to vote brings insecurity.
You have 10 seconds, please.
Insecurity. Because if you had come out to vote, you will feel secure to go to your markets. You go to markets and sell.
Power to take away the economy of Nigeria because they didn't vote. Well, we all are Nigerians. We know how it goes. So this argument is more like the argument of which comes first, the hen or the egg. But we both know that people don't want to come out to vote because they know that at the end of the day, their votes don't actually count. They know that people walk out to vote. They know who they want to vote. But those ones who are against us, who don't want the progress of this country, will come out on that day, give a little token. And because the poor want to survive, they take it and they give away their most absolute rights. But then, if this country was better, no one would have taken 5.
May we give a better round of applause for Bridget 1, 2, and 3 versus Fege 4. You may take a bow and leave, please. Please, you can go in and sit down. Go in and sit down, yes. Okay. Wow. We will invite the next team. We'll invite the next team. Fege Ward 1. They are proposing against Fege Ward 5. They are opposing teams. Kindly step forward to the podium and give us what you have for us. Let me make this announcement. While the debating was going on, the just concluded teams, we noticed that some phones are ringing in this hall, and they were ringing ceaselessly. The place is distractive. May we put on our phone on silent, because it is an academic outing and academic warfare. Please, Fege 1 and Fege 5, kindly take your seat, please.
Motivation. This cruelty should be the more reason why we should come out in our numbers, in masses, to vote. Because whether we vote or not, there must be a leader. And if we don't come out to vote for the person we feel that is going to be our best leader, we will end up in the hands of another cruel leader, which is something none of us wants. Another set of people, a totally different set of people, will pinpoint that the reason why they don't come out to vote is due to the bad government. There, we also tell you that the reason why they don't come out to vote is due to political violence. That is, thuggery and the violence in coalition centers. But this is more reason why we should come out to vote. But before I proceed, let me clear, or should I say, let me expose this skeleton in the closet by letting us all know that if we go on collecting some tokens from all these candidates, we are unconsciously selling our votes out to them. And there, knowing that actually we might end up not voting for them, we will be left with no other choice than to try their best in getting our votes by force. And that is where thuggery and bullying comes in. But if we reject all these tokens from them, believe you me, there will be no talks on our polling units and our collation centers trying to force someone or everyone to vote against his or her own wish. And then comes the big HOW. How? How will there be talks on our collation centers and our polling units if they all will be in line waiting for their turn to cast their own votes? Of because these thugs live amongst us. If only they will agree with me and pick up their PVC, believe you me, there will be no political violence in our polling units and collation centers, because all these thugs that are there will also be the ones to vote. And if we succeed in voting for the right candidate and the person succeeds in winning, there will be a reduced number of doubts on the streets. And that is what we all want, and that's all we have all dreamt of having. Majority of those who are blown into political apathy and voter apathy do so due to the disinterest and distrust on political and electoral bodies.
1 more minute.
They will always tell you that the reason why they do not vote is because no politician will be able to rig an election without the help of an INEC official, and therefore they decide not to vote. But actually, it is more reason why we should vote, because when we come out in our numbers to vote, there will be a more harder opportunity for them to rig the election. But if we turn out poor in number, it will be more easy.
Good evening, the moderator, the panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, my co-debaters, and distinguished audience. And my team members are, I and my team, we are here in opposition to the motion which says voter apathy and political indifference as a form of economic sabotage. I overheard my opponent just like he said. Apathy is an ancient Greek word which means lack of feelings. So to say, voter apathy is a lack of interest on the part of an individual towards political activities, simply put. An individual cannot just decide on his or her own not to vote or show apathy towards political activities. No, there are causes that lead to it. 1, embezzlement of public funds. What is this embezzlement of public funds? When the people that we are handed over to mismanage the funds that are supposed to be used to help the individuals to build good roads, they mismanage it. Therefore, individuals will not be like, why would I vote for this person when they can't even build good roads for us and do this and do that? The second one is election rigging. When we come out to vote, you will see bad people trying to rig elections. All these things constitute to voter apathy. The next one, lack of credible governance. The people we voted for cannot even vouch for us. They couldn't protect our interests. They leave us to suffer in the streets. All this constitutes to voter apathy. All this leads to the individuals losing interest in voting. Then we come to economic sabotage. Sabotage means the deliberate destruction of properties. When we are talking about economic sabotage, the destruction of the economy, it doesn't in any way point towards voter apathy. An individual might decide or even stand on his or her own and vote out a person to sit for us. Yes, those people that are guiding us today, that are leading us today, they were voted in by individuals. But then they didn't live up to their expectations. That is why the word voter apathy came out, because they are not living up to expectations. No, an individual cannot just sit at home and decide, I will not go and vote. I will not do this, I will not. No. An individual might decide, let's vote for this person. This person promised us this and promised us that. And when the person gets into the seat, you will not see anything. That is where the word voter apathy comes in. And it does not in any way relate to economic sabotage. Economic sabotage on its own is just an effect which every country has suffered. It is a weapon that is used to destroy countries. So to say, voter apathy comes from us, and we can also diminish it, we the individuals, when we see what the leaders we voted for are doing. That is when we dissolve the word called voter apathy. So please, my audience, with these few points of mine, I won't just stand here and start lecturing or giving sermons. With these few points, I believe that I've been able at least to convince you that voter apathy and economic sabotage, it is just an effect. And voter apathy is just a word. It's like a dot in the center of a circle.
The ladies and gentlemen, accurate timekeepers, panel of judges, my teammates and opponents. Actually, the topic says voters apathy, political indifference, a form of economic sabotage. When you talk of voters apathy and political indifference, these are words that actually indifferent to us political apathy. That is the feeling of being indifferent or the feeling of not having interest in belonging to any form of political party or anything that has to do with politics at all. When you talk of political indifference, research has shown that minimum amount of eligible Nigerian youths are very, very close to this political indifference. They are people that are always associated with political indifference because they usually feel they are not interested when it comes to politics. How is this? This is so because there are no motivations out there that actually engages or actually pushes this youth to cast their vote or be involved in any political party. When you talk of political party as a form of economic sabotage, you first of all talk about the intended democracy we actually say we are practicing. This democracy, I think I'll call it oligarchy or aristocracy. That is simply a government that is being led by a particular group of people. Now, if you look at the historical records of Nigeria, you would believe or agree with me that there is no political party or a particular set of candidates that do not come back for a second tenure. Why is this so? This is so because the maximum number of people that are expected to vote or be associated to political parties has actually alienated themselves because they do not see anything out of it. And when there are lower voters turnout, you actually see that these miscreants and thugs that comes in the name of politics actually use this to their own advantage. They now rig the election and then assume the political seats. And when they assume these political seats, obviously something was given out for the political seats, so they will have to do what? Give it back. And when they give it back, they do not include the masses in their budgets or political affairs. And you see, when these things happens, it's as a result that people who are actually intended to vote or to come out for campaigns and rallies did not. When you look also back towards the early form of democracy, you would also find out that the tendencies of which political parties were built was on ethnicity. What do I mean? Take example for NCNC, which was headed by Nnamdi Azikiwe. The LG was headed by Obafemi Awolowo and the rest of them. These are political parties that were alienated, not for the general public or the masses, rather for their own people. And as a result, it has caused what we call nepotism or favoritism. In as such as that they also groom their people from the same ethnic group to assume the government seat or those political offices. And when they get there, you start hearing some things like godfatherism and godmotherism. Where do all these things come from? They actually try to pay debts of what they are owing to the people that has groomed them from their political parties. And when people ask us now go into these political parties, what do you see? you see alienation of fresh ideas. Tell me, how can a 60-year-old man still be a leader of a political party? Where do you expect fresh ideas to come from? Nowhere, because of the country. Thank you.
Good evening, the moderator, panel of judges, accurate timekeepers, my co-debaters, the distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I still remain Wamaka Judge. And our topic we are speaking today is voter apathy and political indifferences, a form of sabotage in Nigeria. And we still say that voter apathy is lack of interest that leads us from not to vote. What are those things? Rigging of election, insecurity, unkept promises, unfulfilled promises. Reading of the election we are talking about, because my opponent here was speaking about if you will come out to vote, that you will choose a better person. It's not all about choosing a better person. The person you in, another person that has won the election. When you know very well that while in the polling unit, there are a number of people that you are sure, and inside of you, you are very well aware that this is the particular person that wins the election, and you know how people voted. But when the result comes out, it will be another result. Then when we are still talking about weak security measure during election. These are another major reason we are facing in Nigeria. What are these things we are talking about now? There are so many people that will come out to vote, or so many people will come out for the election, and you will see so has been snatched. Because of what? We don't have capable securities. And when you as a voter sees all these things or hears this record and this history, will you be able to come out? So I am still wondering what my opponents will convince so many people. There are aged men that they will tell you that I have voted for this person and this person did not win. There is no joy when you vote. You don't get what you vote out for. There is no joy when you come out to vote and you are coming out with joy for you to vote. When you get there, you see touts fighting. You see touts. What right does any individual has to carry the ballot paper? The ballot box? No. There is
somebody that is not up to sitting on a seat assumes a seat. What do you expect? Wasting of money, wasting of economy, insecurity, and so many others. Yes, really, voter apathy and political indifference is really a form of economic sabotage, because it brings to poverty. It brings to when people are not supposed to be where they assign work to people that are not supposed to be doing the job. Then leading my fellow people, everybody, I don't really know what else to say here, but the main thing here is that this leads to economic sabotage in Nigeria, giving people that are not supposed to be on seats, and then.
What do I mean by political instability? How does it relate to the topic we have at hand? All right, I'll use this illustration. For example, I'll use two political parties, the PDP and APC. You see that when I'm talking about political instability, the political system not being stable after 4 years, another set example.
If to say that we are to vote Senator Stella Odua into seats now, going by all the things that she has been doing, and she's still doing, and she's still going to do more, I believe that each and every voter apathy, but when she's not giving us what we need, when it's time to vote, we will all sit back.
To baffle your ears with more points will be just bothering you all. So I urge you all to arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's call to obey, to serve our fatherland with love, strength, and faith. The labor of our past leaders shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and might, one nation bound in freedom, peace, and unity, all for one and one for all. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Can we give them a better round of applause? Can we give Fege Ward 1 and Fege Ward 5 a better round of applause, please? Thank you. Take a bow and go. Thank you. Please, you should come into the hall. Once you present and you would figure what 2, please. You can start.
Everyone can rise above their circumstances and achieve success if they are dedicated to and passionate about what they do. With this, I say good afternoon, the moderator, the timekeeper, the impartial panel of adjudicators, our indefatigable Senator Stella Odua, ably represented by our convener, my friends in argument, and the Honorable House. I am so far as a representative figure Ward 2. We are here to propose the motion which states that voter apathy and political indifference a form of economic sabotage. But before we proceed, a full understanding of the aforementioned topic is necessary. Voter apathy is a lack of interest amongst eligible voters in the elections of their representatives. It is often seen as a cause of low turnouts amongst eligible voters. While the phrase economic sabotage is any activity which undermines or weakens the economic system of viability of a country. In a democratic dispensation, the governance of a country is seen as the collective responsibility of all citizens. No wonder a number of studies have seen political participation as the best form of governance for any country targeting economic growth and development. Therefore, the importance of political participation cannot be overemphasized, as there cannot be genuine development in a democratic society that does not encourage political participation. According to Mezuriki and Dantulan in 2015, political participation is seen as a panacea for development in democratic societies because it makes policies participation that the citizens can partake in the governance of their country, and by so doing, they tend to make input in the decisions and policies of the country. Again, through political participation, the effects of voter apathy have been felt on our economic system, on the government revenues, employment, infrastructural supply, natural resource management, as well as security of lives and properties. When we leave the affairs of this nation in the hands of the wrong people, this tends to weaken our economic system, increase our cost of living, increase our crime rate as people turn out to be jobless. This draws our attention to the oil and the gas sector, which is the main pillar of the Nigerian economy. We see election days as public holidays. Those people, they will not be handled until we get a leader who understands the effect of voter apathy and political indifference can equally be felt in the trade and the commerce sector, as the rate of taxes paid by these investors tends to increase. Bringing it out to the grassroots level, we can all attest to the fact that people make complaints of making payments of goods they purchase with their hard-earned money. Even the small-scale business owners are not left out in the menace voter apathy and political participation has caused. Again, the team opposition will rise to tell this honorable house that electoral practices such as rigging has affected the political culture of our country. Going against that belief, Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, took 1,001 attempts to get the light bulb right. Imagine if he had stopped at 1,000. In other words, it's a catch-22 situation. If you don't use your ballot because you think nothing will change, then nothing will change. Therefore, a single bracelet does not jingle. It is a collective responsibility of each and every one of us. As the greatest leader is not the one who does the greatest, but the one who gets people to do the greatest. Let's embrace the likes of our own Senator Stella Odua, as her likes are rare. I believe I've convinced this honorable house beyond every reasonable doubt that political participation can affect the economy of our country greatly. Just before I conclude, let me remind us that the INEC registration portal is still open. Go and get your voter's card, and therefore your neighbors equally get theirs too, to avoid future blames. Thank you.
I heard you say disagree. Just go straight to what you have for us before you start to disagree, okay?
I disagree with my learned opponent because without democracy, there won't be democracy. This means when people don't come for democracy, there would not be democracy. I remember the words of Frederick Albert, the Germany's first democratically elected president, who says, without voters or without a sufficient voting turnout, there cannot be a true election that reflects people's preference. Election is nothing other than preference aggregation. A low or lower voting turnout will not be a true reflection of people's preference. I also disagree because when people don't come for election, that will make some not to elect a good leader. An election don't only help.
Take your time, and recollect yourself, and continue, please.
Also create it also helps to deter criminal from hijacking or sabotaging electoral processes. It guarantees more impartiality and fairness. It also increases the pressure on the elected officials to live up campaign promises. And I see voter apathy as one of the problems because voter apathy should not be a young voter on election to elect a responsible leader. In Nigeria now, people don't have interest of voting because some may say that after voting, their contestant will not be awarded the winner. And this may discourage those who are willing to vote. I wish all of us here knows that is bad. Voter apathy have led to increased concern regarding the respective democracy. Results do not encompass the entire population who are eligible to vote, which is among the consequences of voter apathy. And it can lead to voter apathy also have social and psychological damage due to lack of interest in personal
One more
political
minute.
interaction.
60 seconds remaining.
Turn out and stagnation in a state government. Thank you.
Thank you. When I heard that voter party should not be encouraged, I was expecting to hear from the proposing side. But when I heard it from the opposing side, then meaning that they want to score an own goal from my own point of view. Please go ahead, sir.
When people's lives are not improved, when poverty and inequality are institutionalized, people find it difficult to connect to the social virtue that they enter by virtue of voting and the dividends of true democracy. Standing on the existing protocol, I am James Justice, representing Figure Ward 2. And I'm standing here to categorically and without mincing words support the motion that says voter apathy and political indifference a form of economic sabotage in Nigeria. Nigeria returned to democratic governance since 1999. The expectations of these transitions are provisions of rights to groups and individuals for better accountability, as well as elimination of corruption that is apparent in other forms of governance, the end result of which is economic growth and development. Political participation has been projected as one of the important determinants to these goals. It is a factor that affects the economic growth in any economy. However, studies have shown that the relationship between economic growth and political participation in Nigeria are rarely available in literature. That is to say, Mr. Moderator, that political participation in Nigeria is nothing to write home about. Hence, the dwindling economic situation of our dear country, Nigeria. Borrowing the words of Barack Obama, who once opined, and I quote, "I believe ultimately that when we pay attention, we get good leaders and good governance. But when we pay less attention to political matters, we get bad leaders and bad leadership." This emphatically means that when the citizens of Nigeria do not pay attention to political participation, the end result is bad leadership. Mr. Moderator, could you believe that according to the recent statistics released by the International Center for Investigative Reporting, it states that there were about 82.6 million registered voters and only 23.8 million votes were cast in 2019 general. It places Nigeria first in the poorest voter turnout nation in Africa. Today, I want to categorically put it to my opponents that a lot of Nigerians are suffering out there because of the present economic situation of this country. Mr. Moderator, permit me to say that it is the seed of apathy we sowed in the just concluded election that we are reaping today. Moreover, statistics has ranked Nigeria top 10 in corruption rates, unemployment rates, and terrorism rates. This is clearly as a result of the high inactiveness of Nigerian in policy administration and policy making in this country. Remember, when my leader do not engage me positively, he tends to engage me negatively. Little wonder the great philosopher, the man I respect so much, Plato, quipped, and I quote, "Apathy is the glove in which evil slips his hand." At this junction, I would like to take my audience on a memory lane. Let us remember that last year, during the heat of police brutality and corruption, a lot of Nigerian youth hijacked the streets of Nigeria in a protest themed EndSARS, which lasted over 2 weeks. Let us recall that immediately the federal government disbanded the Social Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, because of the resilient activeness of youth in that protest. My opponents, that is exactly what mass political participation can achieve for us in this country. Finally, there is always slow and poor economic growth in any nation that leaves power in the hands of the wrong persons. Therefore, it is pertinent on me to say that political apathy, voters' apathy, and political indifference can directly or indirectly cause stunted growth in Nigeria. Nigeria is a nation that is blessed with numerous mineral resources, but due to this singular fact of leaving powers in the hands of the wrong person, they have mismanaged these resources, and here we are grumbling and complaining because of the economic situation. So join hands with me to say that when Nigerians do not participate actively in Nigerian politics, we do not only harm ourselves, but we harm the nation at last. I rest my case.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, moderator. Good afternoon, timekeeper. My friend, I disagree with you in whatsoever you said here. Number one, civic process during electoral, civic participants during electoral process is a kind of thing everybody should be involved, not when your life is at stake. You understand? However, in a nation whereby the citizens are tired of the government, the citizens, they are not seeing whatever they have been participating in since 1999 during the democracy, when we entered democratic era. Just be frank with yourself. If you have been voting all these years and all this time and you have not been seeing results, will you still have the mind to still be engaging in politics? Will you have the mind? Okay. let me round here. Mr. Chairman, I would like to say something. When it comes to politics, a prosperous nation will have to involve the citizens during electoral process and during election time. You understand? And when things like these are not being done, it affects the citizens, which will make them become vulnerable to electoral process. You understand? They will not have any zeal to come out and vote because they have not been engaged from day one. If you want anybody to participate in politics, if you want everybody to become a voter, if you have anybody to have his or her voter's card so that the person will vote and vote the rightful person, all you need to do is to engage them from grassroots. Corruption has eaten up this country. Corruption has dried this country. Let me be frank to you. There are four major factors which lead to political apathy in Nigeria. Huh? Okay, let me tell you that. Number one is corruption. Number one is violence. Number three is corruption. Number two is violence. Number three is INEC malpractice. Do you understand that? INEC malpractice. And number four is unemployment. Most of the citizens, as you see today, that they don't have the zeal to come out and vote. Something happened. If you like, you go close to the people in the communities, you go close to the people, and during the campaign promises, you listen to people, you will hear what they have to say. Nobody is happy. That is why most of the youth, they are not interested. They are not interested. So many things led to political apathy in Nigeria, and I urge you, if government can do something about it, encourage people, engage people from grassroots, I tell you, people will come out and vote. But when you know that the very day for voting, some other political parties will use talks. Come out and vote and collect 1,000 naira. At the end of the day, I will still wait for another 4 years to see that same person you are in Nigeria. We said, civic engagement during political process matters a lot. When the basic amenities are not, the government have to put things in place, encourage us, tell us a lot of things, not to give us fake promises. You have to put practical works down there. You understand? You provide railroads, you provide water, you provide a lot of things. All the basic amenities should be in place. So therefore, everybody will be encouraged to be involved. Okay, you want us to come and vote. Have you beefed up the security? You have not done that. We are coming out towards our polling unit with our voters card and with...
From the grassroots to the high level, from the local level to state and the federation, due to the high rate of voter apathy in Nigeria. Nigerian political affairs has been reduced into shambles due to we have failed to come out and cast our vote because we have an illusion that our vote doesn't count. But I am telling you with all 100% believe that your vote counts. I am also considering appropriate that for us to consider that Nigeria will move high if we are to synthesize from the primary school, secondary school to high institution to promote our politics. Nigeria is one of the trending countries.
One more minute, please.
Nigeria is one of the trending countries that have failed to understand what PVC is meant for. Without wasting much of my time, I believe with the few points that my colleagues have laid, I am not here to confuse, but to convince you that voter apathy in Nigeria has reduced Nigeria esteem to stupor. Thank you.